Welcome to today's edition of the Statler Financial Radio Show. Your financial security is our business. Have a question for the team? Call today, 863-877-1188. That's 863-877-1188.
Welcome to the Statler Financial Radio Show. I'm your host, Danielle J. Martin. Here with me is Philip Statler of Statler Financial Services. Today, we'll be looking at the dirty dozen. Now, these are some of the tax scams that the IRS has flagged for us to avoid, and we're going to be discussing some of these today with Philip Statler. Glad to be back with you, Philip. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing well today. This should be a kind of an interesting topic to talk about some of the things that the IRS has seen of people getting scammed. And it's important to know this because, well, I don't know about you, Danielle, but my email gets full of all kinds of clickbait, things that scammers try to get you to click on to get your information. And we want to protect people as much as we can and give them the information so they can watch out for what needs to be, what they need to be careful about.
Definitely, Philip. When I think about the amount of times my phone is blowing up, it's not because a guy is calling. It's majority of the time that it's a scam. So what I want to talk to you about with our listeners is that the IRS created the Dirty Dozen campaign. That was back in 2002 to combat tax scams being seen across the country. Now, these scams tend to spike during filing season, but they can really happen anytime. So we might not have to go over all 12 today, but the first one that we'll discuss is email phishing scams. What do you have to say about that?
Well, Danielle, I will say that, just like everybody else out there, I get the same thing. So, phishing scams are fake emails that trick people into responding, clicking back. I mean, I got one not too long ago from the IRS that said, you got a balance due, click this button to get it resolved. And I knew, because obviously I'm in all those businesses, that was not the way the IRS contacts you. They're not going to send you an email about your account, about your tax filings. They're not going to send you an email about anything when it comes to your personal taxes. So that's it. The phishing emails are just a big email scam. They want your information. They want you to click on the button so they have access to your computer and to get your personal information. The other thing now this term, I don't know that I've heard this term, smishing, but it's, I guess, a true term. So it's not email scams, but it's text scams. Now, I don't know about you, Danielle, but my phone seems like lately it blows up with all these texts from people I don't know, from organizations I've never done business with, asking me to click on something. Same thing. I mean, I got one not too long ago from the IRS on that as well. But it's things that you need to remember, that the IRS is not going to text you. They're not going to email you about your personal account. So just put that in the back of your head. Don't forget that if it's from the IRS and it's not in slow mail, the mailbox you get out of, from your mailbox out in the yard, then it's not for you, and don't click on anything.
If you hear something today that resonates with you, and you are getting these messages, these emails, these text messages, whatever the case may be, and you want a professional to look at it with you, don't hesitate to give Philip and his team a call, 863-877-1188. That's 863-877-1188. Philip, another warning from the IRS is all about bad social media advice. Some of these quote unquote tax tips floating around can be flat out dangerous. And they could also land you in a big trouble with your own taxes. Have you come across anything like this with some of your clients when they're getting advice from social media?
Yes, I see those in my feed as well. I see a lot of things that, bad advice. And more importantly, I see where, hey, click this and we'll tell you how to avoid taxation in this entity or that entity. And And, they're all trying to get a buck and get information. And so, again, these are areas that you do not want to click on to give up your information. So you only want to trust reputable sources, right? People that you know, institutions that you know are giving reliable advice. And so whatever you do here on social media, run it past your tax professional. Don't rely on what you see on social media as being the gospel truth. Take what you see there. If you have questions about it, go back to your tax professional and run it by them. Let them tell you, oh yeah, that is true, or no, that, here's what they're trying to do. They're trying to suck you in for this, and ultimately it's going to cost you down the road. You don't want to run across and get in trouble with Internal Revenue Service.
Another common scam, Philip, is the IRS talks about scammers pretending to be third parties, which is like helping taxpayers set up their personal accounts on the irs.gov. Have you heard of anything like that? And how can retirees protect themselves?
Well, and I think here they're talking about, groups that pretend to be nonprofits helping you do these things. They can be pretend to help taxpayers resolve any issue they may have with the IRS. They may be there to help you do your tax return. They'd love that because they get all your information, right? They get your Social Security number, they get your banking information. Everything they need is right there for them to scam you and take advantage of you. So you don't want to, you want to know who you're dealing with when it comes to tax preparation. They can steal info through fake charities. You have a fake charity, they're going to get, hey, contribute to this, put your credit card number in, put your bank account information in, and they've got it. And so you want to verify the charities that you're donating to. Make sure that they're real charities, number one, and make sure that they're really legit. And to me, my donations go to charities that I know that are a cause that I believe in. And so I think that, you shouldn't be just clicking on something online and giving without doing some investigating further. We're talking about tax stuff today and Dirty Dozen and some of that stuff, but you need to understand that when it comes to taxes, paying the least amount possible is what you need to be looking for in retirement. And that's part of our core retirement design, is creating a tax-efficient process in your retirement years. Folks, it's easy to get started. It's 30 minutes. We get on the phone. We talk about where you are, where you want to be, and how we can help get you there. And maybe you're doing fine. You don't need our help. We're going to tell you that if that's the case. But we want to answer your questions. We really want to be a resource when it comes to your retirement. And it's easy to get started. Give us a call at 863-877-1188. That's 863-877-1188.
We like to remind you here on the show that there's no cost or obligation to speak with Philip and the team at Statler Financial Services. This is a great opportunity to get someone to review your retirement plan, make changes where you may be seeing a few gaps there. And this is where Philip and his team can come in and assure you that you're on the right track. So here's that number again, 863-877-1188. That's 863-877-1188. If you're just now joining the show, we've been spending some time on today's show talking about the Dirty Dozen and how some of the tax scams out there that the IRS is warning folks about. And so another big one, as we continue the conversation here, Philip, is they're warning about fake charities. What can you say about that?
Well, there's fake charities out there, right? They want to get your information. They prey on your generosity. And, they may have a sad story. of how they've helped certain people to tug at your heartstrings to get you to give money to their charity. And so fake charities, it's nothing more than stealing money, right? It's not going to go to the purpose they say. They're using it for personal benefit. So again, kind of like I said before the break, we want to do our research before we donate and make sure that the groups and the charities that we're donating to are real. They exist for a true charitable purpose. You want to Google them. You want to see how they line up on their charitable expenses, how much of every dollar actually goes for their purpose. That's a big deal in my book.
And let's even clear up some of the confusion here. I know we've been talking about scams and being aware of fake charities and things like that, but also let's even take it a step further to educate our listeners as well. What's the difference between tax preparation and tax efficient strategies?
That's a good question, Danielle. Tax prep is very simple. I'm going to take the information that you give me for last year, and I'm going to put it on the tax return so that everything's accounted for, and we file that tax return, you pay your tax, Uncle Sam's happy. That's tax prep. There's really no planning really involved. Maybe the tax guy will call you and say, hey, look, you can contribute to an IRA, but outside of that, there's not a lot of other planning ability there. Tax efficient strategies are really putting together a plan, not just for this year, but for years and years and years to come. And that's putting together that tax efficient strategy is more planning. It's not preparation at all. We're planning out how we can reduce taxes, not just this year, but maybe over the next 5 years, 10 years. Hey, if you're going to be retired 30 years, how can we reduce those taxes over the next 30 years? And so that's a big deal because we want to save money for the long term. So that's the key to that, creating that tax efficient strategy, Danielle.
One of the best ways to combat scams is by increasing your knowledge. And Philip, you and your team are in this world every day. And I know you love helping people make better sense of their finances and reassure the difference between knowing what a tax preparation is and tax efficient strategies to assure that their retirement plan is on the right track. So we're just getting started here on the Statler Financial Radio Show. If you have more questions about your own retirement plan, don't hesitate to reach out to Philip and the team. Here's the number to call today, 863-877-1188. There's no cost or obligation. Reach out today, 863-877-1188. You're listening to the Statler Financial Radio Show. We'll be right back. There's more on the other side of the break.
Turn your plans of yesterday into yes today. Don't wait another day for a routine checkup of your retirement plans. Call Statler Financial Services, 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815.
Who likes uncertainty? Wall Street certainly doesn't. With fears of a potential recession and partisan politics, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. What will your future look like? Will your taxes go up? Will your savings go down? Here in the Sebring area, financial advisor Philip Statler and the team at Statler Financial Services have seen uncertainty come and go. Philip can help you create a plan designed to preserve your finances in uncertain times. And it's not a matter of if those uncertain times will show up, but when. Call 863-877-1188 now to meet with Philip Statler and the team at Statler Financial Services. Call 863-877-1188 and schedule your visit today. 863-877-1188. Advisory services offered through Second Half Financial Partners, LLC, a SEC-registered investment advisor. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Time to retire right. This is the Statler Financial Radio Show.
Welcome back into the show here on the Statler Financial Radio Show. I'm your host, Danielle J. Martin, alongside Philip Statler. He is the founder and president of Statler Financial Services. Now, did you know that if you're running your own business, then you've got a few extra twists and turns on the road to retirement, right? No 401k, no problem. But today we're going to be digging into how you can get retirement ready when a corporate 401k isn't part of the picture. Philip, we're coming back into the show here. Are you excited about today's topic?
Hey, I am, because I have been dealing with small businesses and their retirement plans for probably 30 years. But it's been one of the things that have been, back in my accounting days, we would help small businesses really look at the options that were out there and try to figure out which one was the best one for them. And there's a lot of options out there that the small business owner can use.
That's right. And I think it's important that we're talking about this today. And I kind of want to kick us off here with an article from Investopedia. And it states that as a small business owner, you are completely responsible for your own retirement planning. If you have employees, you may feel responsible for helping them plan for a confident retirement. That's a lot of pressure. So, Philip, how can these small business owners prepare for retirement?
Well, I think that one of the things that they need to do, it obviously depends on what stage you're in that business and development. But one of the things as you're getting closer and closer to retirement is you have to have an exit strategy. You need to understand, how are you going to get out of this business? You got to prepare, think about ways to sell your small business, because at some point, you're going to want to exit and truly retire. And so, some of the things is you have to know how to operate without you, because most small businesses, Danielle, the owner is the operator. And so you need to understand how to run a business without you being the operator. And that will help you really focus in and help somebody want to buy your business because it makes it easier for them. The other thing you need to do is you have to look to see what is the ideal buyer for your business. And every business is going to be a little bit different when we look at that. I think that when we look at businesses, it's interesting how they come to form and then how they grow over time. And I think that's one of the areas that you just have to look at. And I think a lot of people, Danielle, when they start a new business, they don't think about the exit. I know I didn't. I just wanted to help people, both when I did my accounting practice, I wanted to help small businesses and individuals pay the least amount of taxes possible. And when I started the financial planning business, it was more about, hey, look, I want to help folks be able to retire comfortably and to enjoy their retirement. And so that's really the focus when you start a business, is you're there to provide a service, you want to help. And so we don't think about what's the exit strategy until we get well into the game. But it would help, though, if you think about the end at the beginning. It will help you develop a plan that will be better in the long term.
Philip, you're right. There's so many things you have to consider, especially being a business owner. And I think one of the challenges for people who own or work for a small business is the lack of an employer-sponsored retirement account. So let's kind of talk about the options for retirement savings for people who don't work for a big employer.
Absolutely. So there are a few options for small business owners when it comes for being able to save for retirement. Some are more pro-business. Some are more pro-owner. And so you have to kind of look at those things, right? You've got a SEP IRA. And a SEP IRA is for self-employed individuals or their employees. You got to have at least one employee. But you got to participate. All your employees have to participate. So you can't just give it to yourself. You have to give the same thing to each, not the same dollar amount, but the same percentage to each of the employees. Then there's a simple IRA, which is one of my favorites. It's for any self-employed individual or employers with 100 employees or less. You have to have less than 100 employees total. Then you get into the little bit more complicated ones to a degree, and that would be a solo 401k. And this is for self-employed individuals that have no employees, or just them. And so that's one that's you can max out how much you can put away for your retirement. Now, there's one more step that we need to look at too, and that's just a regular 401k. So if you have employees, then you can look at putting together a regular 401k. Now, they're a little bit more costly than the other options that we mentioned already, but they also can give you more options if you have employees that will benefit you in the long run. You know, we don't talk about employer plans and retirement plans a lot on our show. We mostly focus on individuals and planning for their retirement. Well, I want you to know that they're kind of the same, right? That you got a plan. That's the whole thing. And if you are an owner, operator of a small business, I'd love to help you. I'd love to help you find the right retirement plan for your company. And give us a call at 863-877-1188. That's 863-877-1188. And we can walk through the process and determine which plan may be best for you. Again, that number is 863-877-1188.
We want to remind you that there is no cost, there's no obligation to talk with Philip and the team. If you need help with your own retirement plan or if you have specific questions, don't hesitate to call 863-877-1188. That's 863-877-1188. Now, Philip, let's also talk about how the retirement transition can be challenging really for everyone, especially when you leave your job behind. So how do you help guide people in saving for retirement when it's time for that season?
Well, I think it comes down to planning, right? If you don't have a plan, then you don't know what direction to go or how to get there. And the plan, I mean, we can plan at any point in time, right? You're going to retire in 30 days. We can put together a plan. You've already retired, and now you need to know what to do. We can put together the plan. But the ideal situation is that we start couple years, maybe even 5 years before you're going to retire, start putting together that plan now so that we can then kind of track it. Are we on track in year 3, year 4, and year 5? Hey, I'm going to retire this year and everything looks good. Pull the trigger. We're ready to go. And so I think that that's really what I would look at, is just making sure that we've got a plan in place to deal with all the differences that happen in life when we actually retire, Danielle.
And Philip, are there things that business owners and really anyone going into retirement might want to think of, especially when it comes to their lifestyle in retirement?
I think so. I mean, I think there's some things that you really have to think about when you look at retirement. Too many people, I think, focus on the money. How much do I have saved? What am I going to do with it? How am I going to plan with it? Well, I think there's even more important questions than that. What are you going to do in retirement to keep yourself busy? And that's a big deal, because I will tell you, from my experience, that having that question answered ties directly back to the money and how long it's going to last. Because people that don't have a plan on what they're going to do with their time, they typically will overspend because they're bored. And that can be detrimental to your retirement. Other things you need to look at, though, is where do you want to live? If you're retired, you don't have to live where you live now. People here move to North Carolina or Tennessee or South Carolina, those places. People up in the north, they move down to Florida. They want to be where it's going to be warm. You need to look at what's the cost of living going to be where you plan to retire. And then lastly, and again, part of our core retirement design is, where's your income going to come from? How are you going to get that income? And is it going to be enough? Those, I think, are some really important questions that folks need to answer, because if you don't know where that income's coming from, how can you have the confidence to enjoy your retirement? And I would, again, emphasize that having that income plan in place can really bring certainty to the time you get ready to retire. And that's one of the things that we really look at, Danielle.
You're right, Philip. When it comes to retirement or anything in life, we know that income is the foundational key to an overall retirement plan. So let's kind of also go into, are there certain things that go into creating a comprehensive retirement income strategy?
Well, there is, Danielle. We look at a couple things when we look at income. It is one, how do we maximize Social Security? What's your Social Security going to be? And when's the best time to take it? Do you have a pension? If you have a pension, how is that going to play into our overall plan? And then what buckets do we need? And so that's really what we look at is if we don't have a pension, well, then we know we have to create one. And so we'll look at the options to create that pension for you, creating a lifetime income that you can outlive. These are important things when we look at kind of how that retirement looks going forward. Danielle, so many people out there, they don't have a written retirement income plan. They just haven't put one together. And so I'm going to say it's less than 30% of the people out there actually have one. So I'm guessing that most of you don't have one. Mm-hmm. So look, it comes down to a couple things. One, you don't know how much you've saved until you really kind of start counting. What does it look like for you? And then how are you going to spend your money? Where's it going to go? How much do you need to spend? Too many people look at it the other way around. They look at how much have I accumulated. And that's great, but how are you going to spend it? And if you spend too much, then you're not going to have enough to live off of. And so that's why I think it's important that folks have a written retirement game plan in place that they can look at, that they can track, they can make sure that every year, okay, I'm in line with my expectation. I still have the amount of money I think I should have. My income is what I need. And so it gives you that track to run on. If you don't have one, if you don't have a written retirement income plan, please don't head into retirement. Give me a call, 863-877-1188 for our core retirement analysis, where we'll look at where you are right now and see if you're on the right track to the retirement you always dreamed of. If you're not, I'm going to suggest some tweaks that you may need to make. And if we can help, we're going to tell you, hey, look, this is some things that we think that we can help you with. If there's areas that you're doing really well in, we're going to tell you, you don't need us. You're doing great. Just keep doing what you're doing. But it comes down to that core retirement design. Give us a call at 863-877-1188.
We like to remind you there's no cost, there's no obligation to speak with Philip and the team. It's very simple. Call that number 863-877-1188. That's 863-877-1188. Philip, I always appreciate your great insights here. You want to stay with us because small business owners, they face some unique challenges in preparing for retirement. Now, if you're your own boss, this next segment is for you. We're going to walk through how to prepare an exit strategy in some of the factors that you might want to consider as you head into retirement. Stay with us. You're listening to the Statler Financial Radio Show.
Needing a second opinion on your retirement plan or to see if you're paying more than your fair share to Uncle Sam? Schedule your complimentary visit today. Text VISIT to 863-877-1188. That's VISIT to 863-877-1188.
Surprise parties can be fun. Financial surprises, not so much, especially when you're retired, like finding out you owe more in taxes than you thought you would, or having to go back to work to make ends meet. Maybe you'll be okay, but why not double check just to be sure? Call Philip Statler at Statler Financial Services and schedule a no-cost retirement double check at 863-877-1188. Philip and his team have seen their fair share of surprises over the years and know how to help you avoid them. Call 863-877-1188 to schedule your no-cost retirement double check with Philip Statler at Statler Financial Services. Don't let a financial surprise derail your retirement dreams. Call 863-877-1188 now. That's 863-877-1188. You can also visit StatlerFinancial.com for more info. Advisory services are offered through Second Half Financial Partners, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
Who likes uncertainty? Wall Street certainly doesn't. With fears of a potential recession and partisan politics, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. What will your future look like? Will your taxes go up? Will your savings go down? Here in the Sebring area, financial advisor Philip Statler and the team at Statler Financial Services have seen uncertainty come and go. Philip can help you create a plan designed to preserve your finances in uncertain times. And it's not a matter of if those uncertain times will show up, but when. Call 863-877-1188 now to meet with Philip Statler and the team at Statler Financial Services. Call 863-877-1188 and schedule your visit today. 863-877-1188. Advisory services offered through Second Half Financial Partners, LLC, a SEC-registered investment advisor. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
I want to help you understand some things. Number one, timing of your RMD, because they could potentially push you into a higher tax bracket. Imagine how fast your savings could shrink if you rack up penalties along with taking regular withdrawals and paying taxes.
Time to retire right. This is the Statler Financial Radio Show.
Welcome back into the Statler Financial Radio Show. I'm your host, Danielle J. Martin, alongside Philip Statler. Hey, we're talking about small business owners and the unique challenges that they face in preparing for retirement. So if you're your own boss, things look a little different for you as you prepare for retirement. You don't really get to just pick a retirement date and just walk away from your job. So, Philip, one step that small business owners don't want to really overlook is creating a business exit strategy. Walk us through that process.
Absolutely, Danielle. You know, a lot of folks out there think that of an exit strategy as a way to end the business. But you should probably think of it as a plan that will move a business toward long-term goals and allow for a smooth transition to another owner. So all exit plans will be different depending on a lot of things, right? The size and type of business, you know, but it boils down to the end goal for all of them is to help create a foundation for future goals and new directions. And so you need to decide what will be done with your business when you decide to call it quits. So you decide to, hey, I'm going to retire. Are you going to close up and just liquidate it? Or are you going to sell it to a new owner? These are things that you need to plan out. And so it's best to think through your plans well ahead of time so you aren't making emotional decisions about your company and its futures. And I'll just say this, as I've worked with in the accounting industry, so many business owners, you know, have I'm just going to say an unrealistic expectation of what their business is worth. And that's sad to say a lot of times, but you know, so many small business owners feel like their business is worth more than it actually is. And the reason for that, the reason it's not, is they don't have processes in place. You know, it can't be run by somebody other than the guy that started the business. So there's things there, Danielle, that need to be put in place well ahead of time before we're gonna sell it.
You know, there's no point in doing it by yourself. It's very simple by giving Philip and his team a call. There's no cost. There's no obligation. That number, again, is 863-877-1188. That's 863-877-1188. So we're talking today about small business owners, but there are also some similar steps that we think that everyone might want to make as they are getting closer to retirement. So, Philip, another step for small business owners is to appraise the value of their business assets and investments. Can you walk us through that process?
Well, yeah, you know, it's really easy to overestimate how much your business is worth. So it's good to get a valuation from an independent appraiser who understands how businesses get evaluated, and they can come up with an accurate number that what your business is valued at. And that's a good starting point. And so if we're expecting a certain amount of money from selling the business for your retirement, but the business sells for less. Folks, that can be very challenging, right, for you as you prepare to retire. And I've seen that happen before, right? I've seen small businesses who are transitioning into retirement, and they think their business, is worth a couple $100,000, but they can't get anybody to buy it for that. And they end up selling it for maybe, $95,000 or $75,000 because that's what the assets are worth. And so that can be very challenging for folks. And so same thing with your assets and your investments. If you're, not a business owner as well, if they aren't worth as much as you thought, you'll either need to adjust your lifestyle or you're going to have to figure out another plan for income. I mean, that's really kind of what it boils down to. And so when we look at that, it's important to understand the penalties for taking from your retirement plan too early. Some plans will make you pay a penalty to access the funds, and others might cause the accounts to lose principal or interest. So there's chances that you could lose out on tax benefits as well as avoiding access to funds until you retire. That's really what's going to be best for you. Is if it's a retirement asset, let's don't access that money early. I've seen business owners do that as well, Danielle, hey, they hit a rough patch in their business, and so they go and they rob from themselves in their retirement plan and take money out of there to help fund expenses going forward. And let me just encourage you to not do that, to find a better way to make that happen. So talk about retirement plans and retirement. The other thing that I've seen, Danielle, I want to mention this real quick because this happens more often than I'd like to see it happen, is people retire and they want to start a business. And so what do? They take the money out of their retirement account. A lot of times paying a penalty, because the IRS charges you a 10% penalty if you're not 59 and a half. A lot of times taking that money, paying penalties, paying taxes to start a business. And a lot of times, as well-meaning as they are, they're underfunded and it doesn't survive. So now we have a failed business and no retirement assets. Folks, make sure that you're getting good counsel when you start thinking about starting a business. Danny, I know that may be a little off topic, but I think that from my experience, it's one of those things that I see pop up occasionally, and it can be devastating to a retirement plan for sure.
Philip, you're right. It's really good that we have these reminders in knowing the best ways to start a business, especially at some point you're going to reach retirement and you need to have enough income. So even let's go into how much should you save for retirement? Where should you save it? And how can you make sure that it will last after you leave your job for good? These are some questions that you probably have to ask yourself as you're getting closer to retirement.
Danielle, those are good questions. And savings is a good place to start, a really good place to start. And getting ready for that next chapter in your life, you need those things. But you need to do more than just save money. You need an income strategy after you stop earning a regular paycheck or running a business. And if you're listening to me right now and you don't have that income strategy and it's not written down, it's in your head or in your advisor's head, and it's not written down for you to look at and to follow, then I invite you to give us a call so that we can help you create the budget you're going to need for the retirement you've always been dreaming about. Help you uncover some of the main risks posing a threat to your retirement, including things like inflation, the stock market volatility. We're seeing it hit highs, potential tax increases, skyrocketing health costs, all things that can eat into your retirement. Learn about the options of generating income in retirement and learn about ways to keep your current standard of living in retirement, even as costs continue to creep up. Folks, it's a complimentary analysis, no obligation for the listeners today. If you've got at least $250,000 saved for retirement, give us a call at 863-877-1188. That's 863-877-1188 to schedule your core retirement analysis, where we'll talk about where you are and where you need to be. Again, give us a call at 863-877-1188. 1188.
Do not wait. Do not hesitate. This is the time now to get assistance, get help with your retirement plan. Philip and the team will take care of you. It's very simple. There's no cost. There's no obligation. Call the number 863-877-1188. That's 863-877-1188. Hey, we want you to stay with us. We're just getting started here on the Statler Financial Radio Show. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Do you have a retirement plan but would like a second opinion? Call Philip Statler today, 863-285-3815. Statler Financial Services, 863-285-3815.
Surprise parties can be fun.
Surprise!
Financial surprises, not so much. Especially when you're retired, like finding out you owe more in taxes than you thought you would, or having to go back to work to make ends meet. Maybe you'll be okay, but why not double check just to be sure? Call Philip Statler at Statler Financial Services and schedule a no-cost retirement double check at 863-877-1188. Philip and his team have seen their fair share of surprises over the years and know how to help you avoid them. Call 863-877-1188 to schedule your no-cost retirement double check with Philip Statler at Statler Financial Services. Don't let a financial surprise derail your retirement dreams. Call 863-877-1188 now. That's 863-877-1188. You can also visit statlerfinancial.com for more info. Advisory services are offered through Second Half Financial Partners, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor.
Who likes uncertainty? Wall Street certainly doesn't. With fears of a potential recession and partisan politics, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. What will your future look like? Will your taxes go up? Will your savings go down? Here in the Sebring area, financial advisor Philip Statler and the team at Statler Financial Services have seen uncertainty come and go. Philip can help you create a plan designed to preserve your finances in uncertain times. And it's not a matter of if those uncertain times will show up, but when. Call 863-877-1188 now to meet with Philip Statler and the team at Statler Financial Services. Call 863-877-1188 and schedule your visit today. 863-877-1188. Advisory services offered through Second Half Financial Partners, LLC, a SEC registered investment advisor. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Sounds like the mailman's here.
It's time to answer questions from the Statler Financial Mailbag.
Thanks for joining us back here on the Statler Financial Radio Show. I'm your host, Danielle J. Martin, along with Philip Statler, the president and founder of Statler Financial Services. We're diving into our Statler Financial Radio Show mailbag. Philip, this is where we get questions each and every week about all things retirement. So I'm excited to go over some of the common retirement questions. It's our favorite part of the show. Are you ready?
I'm ready to see what's in the bag today.
Okay, let's see. Our first question comes from Jane from Lake Passett. She says, I've been worried about the markets and if we'll continue to see more volatility ahead. I don't want to take any more big losses. How long should I be in cash before I try to get back into the markets?
Oh, man.
Wow.
Jane, I am sorry that you're still sitting in cash these days. That can be dangerous, and people see that all the time, right? We can't time the market. Nobody knows where the market's going to be a year from now. And obviously this year, we have a lot of stuff going on, right? And we've got elections. We're still dealing with inflation. We still have interest rate issues. So it's hard to say when is a good time to get back in the market because we don't know when the next dip is going to come or when the next bear market is going to hit and it goes back down. So I would say that really and truly in this circumstance, you need to have a well-balanced portfolio. You need to look and see what your risk number is, and then have a portfolio that's designed around that risk number. And then you just start putting some money in. Don't necessarily put it all in at one time, but, put 20, 30% of it into that portfolio that matches up with your risk tolerance, and then build it from there is what I would say is a starting point.
Really good insights, Philip. I appreciate that. And Jane, thank you so much for your question. Okay, let's get to our next person. Nancy is from Sebring, and she says, I've worked at a hospital here for almost 18 years. I was planning to work a full 20 years before I retired, but now that I'm thinking about retiring early than planned, before I give my notice, how do I make sure that I'm ready to retire? Great question, Nancy.
That is a great question, Nancy, because that's good that you decided to ask the question before you pull the trigger and actually retire, right? So,
Yeah.
so Nancy, what I would do is say, look, you need to have a plan to make sure that between Social Security and if you have a pension or if you have a 403B or 401k, that all of that is going to be able to put together that income plan that's going to allow you to retire and enjoy it. Retiring 2 years early may not be an issue, but you don't know that unless you walk through the planning process. So if you start now and put together the plan, then you can see what that 2 years, 3 years difference might make for you. So you just need to start the plan. And that would be what I would do and recommend for you, Nancy.
Awesome.
All these questions are good questions, but it all still boils down to planning, Danielle. And again, that's why I developed the core retirement design, is to help people plan out and design that retirement they always dreamed of. Easy to do. We'll make sure that you're doing the things you need to be doing. And if not, we'll let you know and see how we may be able to help you fill in those gaps. Give us a call at 863-877-1188. That's 863-877-1188.
There's no cost or obligation to talk with Philip and his team, so do not hesitate to call that number at 863-877-1188. Again, that number is 863-877-1188. Okay, Philip, let's move on to our next question. Let's see what's in the mailbag next. We got one from Scott from Avon Park. He says, a couple of friends I work with retiring at age 62 and claiming their Social Security benefits. I thought I had to wait until 70 to take Social Security. That's his question. He thought he had to wait until 70. Philip, what's your response there?
So nobody has to wait until 70 to take their Social Security. You get the highest amount if you wait till 70 to take your Social Security, but that may not make sense for you. It depends on a lot of factors, Scott. I mean, I look at how old are you? What's your life expectancy? What's the life expectancy of your family? Those are areas that we look at when we start planning for Social Security. So you can take it at 62. However, those folks taking it at 62, they're taking a big haircut. They're taking a big deduction because they're taking it so early. The normal retirement age for most of us out here today is going to be 67. And so at 67, you get what they call your full retirement age, and then you get the full retirement amount. If you take it before that, you get a discount. If you take it after that, they actually give you more. And so that's why when we developed our core retirement design, one of the components is the income plan. And that income planning process, we look at Social Security and look at different scenarios to determine what might work best for you when it comes to deciding when to take Social Security. And so, again, it comes to planning and understanding. And I'll tell you that the folks at Social Security, they're not going to tell you when to take it. That's on you to do that planning and that research to determine what's the best for you, Scott.
That's right, Scott. We appreciate your question. Okay, Philip, let's see who's next. We have one from Bill from Sebring. He says that we were not planning to retire for several more years, but we've had some health issues come up, and now my wife isn't healthy enough to work. So I'm thinking I should stop working to help take care of her. So can you help us evaluate if this is a wise thing to do for our situation?
Well, Bill, I'm not sure exactly how to answer this one because you have to kind of understand long-term care and how that can really impact your finances and your financial decisions. So it really, you didn't say how old you were, so that's a little hard to determine what benefits might be available from that standpoint. So I think that in this case, it's going to depend on a lot of things. Bill. One is going to depend on how old you guys are and where you are in terms of Social Security. The other thing that's going to really make a difference is what do we have saved in our retirement accounts and in our other accounts to determine that. And then, if your wife can't work, then the issue is what is the life expectancy that we can have there, and are we going to have higher medical costs? Are we going to have long-term care issues that we have to deal with? And all these things, though complicated in some ways, can be planned for. I think we look back to the whole process that we need to have a plan in place, and everything starts from there. I mean, for us, when it comes to long-term care issues, we have a team that we have in place to help walk folks through that planning process. And that's how we help our clients manage the long-term care impacts that happen in their life. And so I hope, Bill, that answers your question. It's a little difficult without a little bit more information, but hopefully that helps you get in the right direction.
All right, Philip, thank you so much for all of your great insights. And thank you, listeners, for sending us your questions. If you missed out on this opportunity, it's okay. Just give us a call here at 863-877-1188. Again, that number is 863-877-1188. But hey, in case you missed anything that we discussed today or any of our previous shows, you can go ahead and check out our website and listen to all of our shows that we've discussed previously with Philip Statler. They're all archived. All you have to do is just go to the website. And also, wherever you're listening to your podcast, you can also check out the Statler Financial Radio Show as well. So if you have questions about retirement, again, do not hesitate to call Philip and his team at Statler Financial Services. They're here to guide you through a successful retirement. We always say you do not have to plan for your retirement alone. So do not hesitate to call 863-877-1188. Again, that number is 863-877-1188. Hey, thanks for tuning in into the Statler Financial Radio Show. We'll catch you next week.
Needing a second opinion on your retirement plan or to see if you're paying more than your fair share to Uncle Sam? Schedule your complimentary visit today. Text VISIT to 863-877-1188. That's VISIT to 863-877-1188.
Advisory services offered through Second Half Financial Partners, LLC, a SEC-registered investment advisor. The opinions voiced and information provided in this material are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine what investments are appropriate for you, please consult with a financial advisor. Second Half Financial Partners, LLC does not provide tax or legal advice. Please consult your tax or legal advisor regarding your particular situation. This radio show is a paid placement.
Who likes uncertainty? Wall Street certainly doesn't. With fears of a potential recession and partisan politics, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. What will your future look like? Will your taxes go up? Will your savings go down? Here in the Sebring area, financial advisor Philip Statler and the team at Statler Financial Services have seen uncertainty come and go. Philip can help you create a plan designed to preserve your finances in uncertain times. And it's not a matter of if those uncertain times will show up, but when. Call 863-877-1188 now to meet with Philip Statler and the team at Statler Financial Services. Call 863-877-1188 and schedule your visit today. 863-877-1188. Advisory services offered through Second Half Financial Partners, LLC, a SEC-registered investment advisor. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.